Well, for more on the story, let's cross live now to SABC News reporter Hasina Gori. Hasina, you're in the thick of things. Just give us a sense of anticipation where you are.
Good morning, Desiree. As you mentioned, quite a pivotal day here in Sandton, Johannesburg. It's been quite a while since we've had interviews for this specific position, with the Chief Justice Mogoeng serving his tenure for almost 12 years. We've not seen these interview processes for such a high-profile judiciary in quite a while. We've seen others being interviewed. We spoke with Advocate Darlene Mpofu, the spokesperson of the JSC Commission, earlier this morning, explaining to us the processes that will take place right now. They have all come here. It's 22 commissioners that are here, made up of advocates as well as judges of quite a few of the high positions, as well as members of parliament that represent different parties. All here, they are having a meeting, as they always do, ahead of the first day, making sure everyone is on the same page and understands what the process is for. But I want to bring in Judges Matters here with us this morning to just explain to us what is the significance of this process. Good morning so much. Thank you for joining us. Can you tell us, let's start with, what is the significance? We know the Chief Justice is quite an important role in the country. Why is this process so important, and why is it also imperative that it's public?
Good morning, Hasina, and good morning to the viewers at home, and thank you for having us. The significance of this moment is that this is only the 6th time that we are appointing a Chief Justice, and as you know, the Chief Justice is the head of the judiciary. But not only that, he heads up the Constitutional Court, which is the highest court in the land. And so the position that the Chief Justice holds is one of significance to the democratic states that we have, and in terms of the Constitution. And so there are many factors that weigh into the significance of that decision. And the reason why it's held publicly and why the members of the public must be able to follow this process is because they need to buy into the process. The process needs to be transparent. It needs to be rigorous. Everyone must see that it's fair and be able to have confidence in whoever is ultimately appointed as the Chief Justice. So all of that is all of those factors together mean that this process is not only for the people inside the room, but for everyone, I think, in South Africa who's subject to this constitution.
Mm-hmm. As you said, whoever will take this position will be the head of the judiciary. What are some of the qualities that one would look for, the commissioners will be looking for, when appointing the next Chief Justice?
So the Chief Justice is the head of the judiciary, but there are certain institutions within the judiciary. For example, the Constitutional Court. The Chief Justice is the head of the Constitutional Court. He or she must make sure that that court functions at the highest possible level. It deals with weighty and complex issues, so the Chief Justice must be able to deal with those issues, must have the skills and abilities to deal with those issues. And so that's the first quality that they must look for: intellectual prowess. The second one is an ability to lead, manage, and administer, because the role of the Chief Justice over the years has been a lot more complicated than it was in the past. In the past, pre-1994, you were only a judge and nothing more. But now you are also heading up the Judicial Service Commission. You have oversight over the Office of the Chief Justice, which is a national government department. You also have you are also in charge of the conduct system, which is supposed to hold judges accountable when there is misconduct. So that role means that someone must have the ability to lead and the skills to administer. Then thirdly, I think the Chief Justice must be able to speak on behalf of the judiciary with confidence. He must articulate the values of the Constitution. He must speak strongly in favor of the rule of law and the promotion of the Constitution.
Mm-hmm. Following quite a lengthy process in the nomination, we saw the president deviating from the norm, moving to a more public and open forum, and then having the Pillay panel coming to fore. We've left with the 4 candidates that are here and going to be subjected to those interviews over the next 4 days. Who are the front runners for you? Are there any front runners right now?
Well, at the moment, the race is I can say it's neck and neck because each one of these candidates are exceptional judges. Each one of them brings a unique aspect to this, and this is something that will shine through the interviews. If you think of the interview today for Justice Mahlanga, he is well regarded in the legal profession, in the judiciary, as an intellectual leader on the Constitutional Court. Some of his judgments have been weighty and impactful on the law, and that is something that he has an advantage over the other candidates. And then other candidates like Justice Maya, who will be interviewed tomorrow, she has led the Supreme Court of Appeal to a tremendous amount of success. It's a high-performing court, and she's been able to transform that court, bring in more women, bring in more black judges onto that court. She also happens to be a woman as well. There's Justice Zondo as well, who we all know is the acting Chief Justice. And then Justice Mlambo has also a public profile, but he's well regarded as an administrator. He runs the busiest court system in the country, and he's done so with success. So all of them have a unique quality about them that I think is something to watch out for in these interviews.
What criticism may the candidates face over the next 4 days in those interview processes? Any real criticism that they could look out for when and could be a negative on their part?
So I wouldn't say that there is criticism, but there might be points that account against them. So, for example, Justice Mahlanga, who is being interviewed today, he has not held a formal leadership position in the judiciary, and so that might count against him in terms of when they're looking at all the other candidates who've had a number of years in leadership. There's Justice Zondo, who retires quite soon. Actually, he has about 2 years left on the court. That might be something that counts against him. Justice Mlambo is a well-known person in public, partly because he's headed up some of the biggest and maybe controversial cases that have come before the courts. That might be something that the commissioners might pick up on, and that might be a negative for him. Justice Maya, although she's acted on the Constitutional Court, she has not been in that court for 10 years, and so that might count against her as well. So all of them have a little bit of cons to it. It's not only just pros.
Before we end our conversation and get ready for the day of interviews, we know this position, quite an important one, quite pivotal, both for the judiciary as well as for the country, as this is the third arm of the government as well. How do we ensure that whoever leads this position, this apex court, cannot be influenced by the politics of the country?
So I think judges in South Africa, I can speak with some confidence that the overwhelming majority of them, they really don't care about the politics of the day. They implement the Constitution, they follow the law, and they give reasons, as we are entitled to give reasons for their decisions. So even though sometimes those court judgments might have political implications, but that's not what the judges look out for. And I think that goes for the Chief Justice as well. But of course, the judiciary is part of society, and so there may be times when, for example, the Chief Justice is required to speak in defense of the judiciary, in defense of the Constitution, and I think that might be sometimes seen as political, but I don't think that they set out to influence the politics of the day in any way.
Mm-hmm. Thank you so much. That was Judges Matters in Bekezile Benjamin speaking to us here in Sandton as we wait for the interview processes to begin here. Right now, the JSC commissioners, there are 22 of them made up of advocates, judges, as well as members of parliament, all set out here for the next 4 days to ensure that the best candidate is chosen and nominated as the next Chief Justice of the country. This is the first time in over a decade that we are having these interviews taking place in the country. We'll keep you abreast of it throughout the week, as well as through today, both on our radio, television, as well as digital platforms, so you can follow the processes, which is a public process as well. As we mentioned, at 10 a.m. we will see the first candidate taking the hot seat and grilled, hopefully for the entire day. We set till 5:30 this afternoon, so quite a long day ahead of us. But for now, back to you in studio, Desiree.
setting the scene for us. And of course, Hasina was asking her guest who he thinks is the front runner. Let us know at the agenda _SABC. Is it Mandisa Maya for you? Is it Raymond Zondo? Is it Dunstan Mlambo? Is it Mbuyiseli Madlanga? At the agenda _SABC.